But Peter began to walk on the water. And then as he began to avert his eyes to the waves and the wind, the Bible says he began to sink. Now watch what happened now. When he was walking on the water by faith, he was just doing it. But at the moment he averted his eyes from Jesus and at the wind and the waves, at that point, Peter began to try to walk on the water. He began to try to walk by faith. He began to what he was doing naturally just moments ago. He began to try to do what he was naturally doing by faith. And he teaches us herein the greatest lesson of all regarding walking by faith. So first off, when I walk by faith, I'm walking not just towards Jesus, but with him. And as long as I'm focused on him, I'll be able to walk on stuff that would normally drown me. I'll be able to walk on things that would swallow me up. You'll be able to walk on sickness and walk on poverty and walk atop of depression. Tread it under your feet. But see, and as long as I'm walking towards him and with him, I'll be walking naturally on the very elements, on the very curse, on the very problems that would swallow me up and drown me. But once I avert my faith, the eyes of my faith from Jesus and onto the problem, the wind and the waves, at that point, I stop walking by faith and I begin to try to walk by faith. How many know there's a difference? Because now I'm trying to believe. I'm trying to have faith. I'm trying to be obedient. When I was focused on the Lord, walking towards him, it was a natural byproduct. It's not the way it works. Remember, the people that came and Jesus healed them, Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. They didn't know they were believing. And it wasn't just their faith, was it? It was their faith in him. And they didn't even know they were having faith. They weren't trying to conjure up and to make themselves believe so that their focus was on their faith instead of on their God. Once I fall until the mindset of trying to believe, you begin to drown in those very issues that Jesus means you to walk upon. I have friends and loved ones who died in faith trying to walk by faith. Cancer claimed them as they were trying to walk by faith. The worst, their fears came upon them as they tried to walk by faith. And no, you don't try, child of God. It'll happen naturally as you focus on Jesus. And so, remember, to him, faith is an intimate thing. Faith is something where the eyes of my faith and my attention are focused on him. And so that is done in prayer. You see, you don't make up your mind to try to believe, or you may die trying to believe. The dearest of friends of mine have died with all their faith, struggling to believe. But when you naturally begin to focus your attention and talk to him, remember, this is an intimate relationship between us and God. He means it to be intimate, not a work of the flesh, and neither a work of faith. And it is a connection between man and God, where you walk in the spirit of the kingdom where he is, and he manifests himself in the natural where you are. And so as I'm focused on him in prayer, that's right, in prayer, that's where I focus. You see, I'm not not trying to believe. But as I talked to him, the very way that those whom Jesus healed approached him and looked to him for healing, they didn't manifest and conjure up and struggle to believe. It was the simple childlike looking to Jesus. And that's what's done in prayer. Now we understand why Paul says to pray without ceasing, to be in an attitude of prayer. You see, as you're focused on him, your prayer, your faith activates naturally, albeit in him. Because it wasn't just the people's faith that made them whole, was it? It was their faith in him. And so as Peter began to walk the water, his eyes steadfastly on Jesus. And so you, child of God, and so you stop trying to believe and begin to talk with Jesus. It's all about relationship, intimate relationship.